My name is Hillilary Weaver. I'm 34, and I keep newborn babies alive for a living. Last February, at my mother's dining table, my family announced my brother's 5th baby. Then they announced what they decided to do with the rest of my life. Mom said I didn't have a real life anyway. She was smiling when she said it. Everyone kept eating, passing the rolls like my future was a side dish somebody had already served. None of them knew about the folder in my phone. 3 weeks from changing everything. What my mother did after I showed them, after the whole room went silent, is the part one still hear at night. Because the phone wasn't the ending. It was only the match. Welcome back to Lineage of Lies, where quiet women finally say the things families pretend not to hear. If you've ever been the one everybody leans on and nobody sees, this one's for you. Comment record if you've got a story like mine. I read every one. Let me take you back 3 months, so you understand what my family thought I was for. When I was 27, my grandmother June's heart started failing. The family meeting lasted 11 minutes. Danny had babies and a mortgage. Mom's back was bad. Every face turned to me with the same warm, terrible confidence, and my mother spoke the sentence that ran my life for 4 years, "You're the nurse." So I became the nurse, evenings, weekends, 3 a.m. Ambulance rides, a full NICU shift and then an unpaid second one at Grandma June's. She died 3 years ago with her hand in mine. At the funeral, the pastor praised my mother's devotion. My mother dabbed her eyes and accepted it. I learned that day how credit travels in my family. It flows uphill. But Grandma June left me something. I'll get to it. It's the reason there was a folder in my phone at all. After she died, the family found me a new job without posting it. Danny and Kayla's 4 kids. Fever at midnight, call Aunt Hilly. Anniversary weekend, Aunt Hilly's got them. I loved those kids, especially Ellie, 7, the only one who ever asked me a question about me. I would have walked into traffic for her, and everybody knew it. Love is a wonderful rope to tie someone with, because they'll hold the knot for you themselves. One Tuesday at 4 a.m., I brought back a baby girl born at 26 weeks, 1 pound 15 ounces. Her father cried into my shoulder. Her mother called me an angel. 12 hours later I was at my parents' house doing dishes, and when I said I was beat and wanted to go home, my mother waved a towel and said, cheerful as a hymn, "It's not like you have anything to rush home to." Strangers in a hospital hallway thought I was a miracle. The woman who raised me thought I was a free hour with legs. Useful is invisible. Nobody asks the lamp about its day. 3 weeks later, baby number 5, announced in the group chat. I was thrilled, genuinely. Then Mom called, privately, voice shining. "We need to talk about the plan, sweetheart." The plan turned out to be me, part-time or gone from the hospital, home to be the nanny. Family takes care of family, she said, smoothing frosting on a cake like it was weather. I said no. Clearly. In English. She just tapped the spatula twice and said we'd figure out the details later, like I'd raised a concern about parking. She wasn't rattled. My mother is never relaxed unless she's already certain she's won. Here's what nobody knew. Months earlier I'd finished an application to a neonatal resuscitation program in Galway, Ireland. 2 years, teaching what I do best. By November I was a finalist. Then the proof started stacking up. Mason School had me down as emergency contact, nobody asked. A schedule fell out of his backpack, Aunt Hilly Days, printed in October, a full month before Mom ever mentioned the plan to my face. In the cereal aisle, Aunt Ruth hugged me and said the whole church already knew I was taking the year off. My mother had gone into every room ahead of me and told my story first. She'd built me a cage out of compliments. I tried to tell them. Twice the moment got swallowed, once by a kid's fever, once by nothing at all, just my nerve running out. Then my landlord called. My father had mentioned at bowling league I'd be moving home in spring. I found Dad in the garage and asked if he'd really discussed ending my lease before anyone asked me one question. He rubbed his neck. Well, your mother said it was decided. Not we decided. It was decided. Weather. Gravity. I understood then he'd never hand me my own future back. That night the offer came through, Dr. Wan, Galway, a real salary, start date March 9th. My hands were shaking. I made a folder on my phone and named it June. Because here's what she gave me. The last clear night she had, she told me she'd been accepted to an art program in Chicago at 19, and never went. Her mother needed her, then her brothers, then a husband, then babies. I kept waiting for somebody to tell me it was my turn, she said. Nobody hands a woman her turn. You take it. She'd kept her old watch running 4 minutes slow on purpose, so she'd never forget, time doesn't wait politely. I was wearing that watch when I signed the contract with my thumb and bought a one-way ticket. Hands still shaking. You don't wait for steady. You sign shaking. Late January, Danny showed up at my apartment, turning his cap in his hands. You don't have to do the nanny thing, he said, and for 1 second I thought I had an ally. Then, but it would really save us. Kayla's drowning. And you're, free. Free meant available. It meant costless. I didn't tell him about Ireland. I just said, I've never once been free, Danny. You've just never seen the bill. I closed the door and burned my boats that week, gave notice on my apartment, booked the movers, resigned. February 8th, family dinner to settle the arrangements. I made the chicken myself, one last time, as a gift instead of a bill paid. At my place at the table sat a spiral-bound packet, Weaver Family Childcare Plan, my name on a tab inside. My mother stood, dinged her glass, and announced it to the room like scripture. I'd be stepping away from the hospital, moving home, full-time nanny for all 5 babies. Applause. My father raised his glass at me. I set mine down. Mom, I have a career. I have a life. And she said it again, warm as August, sweetheart, you don't have a real life anyway. No husband, no babies, that little apartment. This is us giving you one. Nobody at that table flinched. I smiled. Because 3 weeks. I unlocked my phone under the table, opened the folder named June, stood up, and set it face up in the middle of the table between the ambrosia and the chicken carcass. Before you laminate anything else, I said, you should see this. The contract. The hospital crest. Galway. My signature, 3 weeks old. One swipe. The boarding pass, one way, March 1st, 21 days out. Nobody moved. I kept my voice low, the way I keep it in a code. I've taken a 2-year post in Ireland. I've signed. I've given up my apartment. I fly in 3 weeks. The plan you printed has one problem, I was never yours to schedule. My mother's face went from marble to water. You would leave this family over a job? Kayla cried about a baby that didn't exist yet. Dad said, Ireland, that's an ocean away, like the problem was nautical. My mother cycled through the laugh, the prosecutor, the pulpit. Uncle Gary muted the football. Carol, let the girl talk. So I did, once, for 15 years worth. 4 years to Grandma June. 3 more to Danny's kids. I did it out of love. Every one of you filed it under free. I picked up the packet with my name on it and set it back down. In 15 years, did even one of you ask me what I wanted? Silence. Then my mother folded her napkin and tried the soft version, Hilly, not Hillilary. 1 year, she said. Stay till the baby's steady, then go with our blessing, the whole family waving me off. Don't you want to leave the right way? Everything I'd ever wanted was on that table. To be asked. To be blessed. I actually felt myself start to nod. Then I caught it. A blessing you have to buy isn't a blessing. It's an invoice with a bow on it. There would always be 1 more year, that's what the machine is for. No, I said. Not in a year. There was never going to be a right way for me to leave, Mom, only a paid way. I picked up my phone, June's watch catching the light. You were wrong about one thing tonight. I do have a real life. You've just never asked to see it. I kissed the kids goodbye one by one. Crouched at Ellie's chair. A letter every month. Nurse promise. She stamped my hand with her thumb. At the door, my mother's chair barked against the floor. If you get on that plane, don't you call this house your home anymore. I turned around and looked at her, furious, terrified, the machine's best worker and its oldest casualty, and said the truest thing I've ever said in that house. Then I'll write to the people in it who still call me family. I walked out into the February cold. Nobody followed me. I paid that price in full, and it was still the best trade I ever made. On March 1st, I flew. Galway tested me, 11 days of sideways rain, nobody's name I knew. Then my first training day, a room of nurses stood up when I walked in, and there was my name on the board, lead specialist. Paid. Printed. Asked for. News from Ohio came in pieces. The baby was born healthy in June. Danny sent a photo that put me on my kitchen floor. Her middle name is June. Every month a letter arrives from Ellie, printed careful and hard. My father sends postcards signed proud of you, don't tell your mother. My mother still hasn't called. Maybe she won't. I can live with that, not happily, but honestly, and there's a difference. The machine still runs in that house. It just runs without me now. June's watch is on my wrist right now, 4 minutes slow, in a life that finally runs on time. A family that only loves you for what you carry will call it love right up until the day you set the weight down. And the people worth keeping are the ones who help you set it down. If anyone's ever told you that you don't have a real life, you do. It's just waiting for you to sign it. If this story found you tonight, comment record, subscribe to Lineage of Lies, and send it to the friends still holding everyone else's weight. What's your one-way ticket?